Hi everyone, today we are diving into Africa, a continent with many challenges but filled with opportunities. And one of those opportunities is the blue economy. In this interview, I had the privilege of speaking with Stephanie Canac, co founder of Ocean Hub Africa, a South African based accelerator. Ocean Hub Africa was founded in July 2019. Their mission is to inspire and assist innovative impact startups and nurture an environmentally conscious and profitable economy that will mitigate the effects on the ocean's overexploitations and pollution, as well as tackle the effects of climate change. Their location in Cape Town at the crossroad of three oceans is ideal. And despite the harsh circumstances last year, they managed to launch their first accelerator from which 6 companies graduated in November 2020 at the Ocean Innovation Africa Summit. Stephanie Canac is a corporate finance and business management graduate from Imperial College. She's also a former consultant at A.T. Kearney in France and VC fund strategist in Africa. Her vision and motivation are inspiring. And for any of you trying to look to start a new project in Africa, I highly recommend you watch this interview. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for joining me live to talk more about your company, Ocean Hub Africa.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so before diving a bit more into the world of the startups, I think it's important to understand how big is the blue economy potential in Africa?
So what we call the blue economy first is the sustainable ocean economy. So the underlying idea is that we want to create social and economic value while preserving the finite resource of the ocean and its biodiversity. And to give you an idea, globally, the annual gross marine product, which is about the equivalent of a country GDP, would make the ocean the world's seventh largest economy. That's to give you an idea of the size. So there's huge economic and social potential there. Pre-COVID, the OECD forecasted that by 2030, the ocean economy would double its size. So in less than 20 years, to reach out US $3 trillion. So we have to take into account that COVID might have changed those numbers, but that also gives you an idea of the growth potential that there is in the ocean economy. And in Africa specifically, the continent-rich ocean resources are really key to support its growth. It's a continent where there are a lot of coastal community relying on the ocean ecosystem. So we don't have a specific number on the African continent, but we know that the African continent can really take benefit from the overall growing blue economy and needs to position itself at the forefront of that innovative new frontier.
Absolutely, and there's so many new synergies, new discoveries being made in a lot of African countries. And so, for example, in your experience, what are the biggest blue economy sectors that are developing, and can you explain why?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest industry within the blue economy are I won't give them in order, but there's shipping, and there's a lot of work done around shipping getting smarter, including by optimizing routes or consuming less fuel. There's the boat building industry that's related to that as well, and getting more sustainable. There's the marine renewable energies with a lot of offshore wind and wave energy being developed. Coastal tourism to become more responsible for conservation. Fisheries that are trying to optimize the supply chain, to reduce losses, to better monitor illegal fishing as well. And finally, there's the aquaculture, because aquaculture can be a great substitute to overfishing, but it has to be sustainable to become a viable substitute. So there's a lot of work around how to make aquaculture more sustainable than it is today. And more specifically in Africa, I would say that there are some recurring topics that we hear about, which are around aquaculture a lot, around seaweed farming as well, CO2 capturing, and coastal tourism that are very strong in Africa.
Yeah, and being specialized on the seaweed sector myself, I know that it's a very growing topic,
Yeah,
notably in a lot of African countries at the moment. So, pretty sure you're going to be seeing a lot of new projects appearing in that sector too.
exactly. It's a very exciting new space. There's a
Mm,
lot to be done, and I think that Africa can really position itself as a market where we can innovate on this. It's
agreed.
great. There's great interest. Yeah.
And so, with the startups that you're working with, as what is the role of Ocean Hub? How are you going to contribute to their development?
So we are an accelerator. So usually we take on startups that are at that time in their life where they have a prototype, uh, a first proof concept. They might have already proved traction, but what they really need to do is first they might want to improve their prototype, even if they already have something existing. For that, we have a great partnership with 3DS, Dassault System, that offers for free to our entrepreneurs their prototyping and virtual testings softwares. That's very powerful for the entrepreneurs that are working on hardware products. We also have a partnership with Amazon Web Services for the ones that are more working on software products as well to improve their prototyping. So that's the first thing, improving the product. The second thing is that they, as an entrepreneur, they need mentorship. So I think they need to, um, yeah, just be able to bounce off ideas with experts. So we have a great mentorship program where we have mentors dedicated to each startup, but we also have subject experts. So whatever the need is, you can get in touch with the right people in the right industry and in the right country to answer your question and try and make your project progress. And finally, I would say that one of the most recurring needs is to raise funds. And for that, we are working a lot with the startup on clarifying the value proposition where it needs to be, working on the business model, creating the investor deck, um, working around the data room, getting them to train their pitching, and introducing them to potential investors. So what we do is that we work very hands-on with the startup for 3 months, and then once they are ready and everything is ready, we'll put them in contact with potential investors, so they can raise those fundings.
Okay, and yeah, I
Yeah,
figure that notably for the blue economy, there's a lot. It's important to have a good deck because a lot of investors, I figure, don't really know or understand what the blue economy is. So it's good that you
exactly.
guys have that experience to help them out.
Yeah. So and there's actually something very interesting is that we are seeing more and more investors that are going to be specialized in that ocean mandate, so they know what they're talking about. But those investors, they're likely to maybe lead the rounds and then take on other investors that are not specifically experts in the ocean
Mhm.
industry, but that will leverage the knowledge of the ones that are. But definitely, we're seeing more and more of those, specific investors. But we also need to be able to reach out to any types of investors.
Absolutely, and I love the mechanism using the ones that have the knowledge
Yeah,
to bring all the others around. That's very smart, and I'm sure it's going to happen more and more, even in Europe and North America and everywhere else.
yeah.
Final question, so a bit more personal. What brought you and your team to come work in South Africa?
So I was already living in South Africa when I co-founded Ocean Up Africa, but it made a lot of sense to build a project here in South Africa and more specifically in Cape Town. We are virtually at the crossroad of three oceans, Indian, Atlantic, and Southern, which brings an amazing biodiversity to Cape Town. And with what attracts a lot of scientists and a lot of marine biologists in Cape Town. So we have a strong pool of those skills here. That's the first reason. The second reason is that it's one of the major tech hub in Africa, with an internationally recognized entrepreneurial ecosystem that we can tap into and that we can leverage on. The third reason is that it's an ideal test ground. because you have all of the ocean industries here represented in Cape Town. They are not too big, so they can still be disrupted. And it's perfect for any startup to test a product because you'll have potentially, if you're a B2B model, you'll have potential clients there that are quite reachable. And that now we have in our ecosystem as well, so that helps. And finally, the ecosystem itself. So you have, if you want to test something in the water, so if you're a outwear company and you want to go out and test something, you have the Bahamas style seas of Longyearbyen, but you also have deep sea just out there, like a few kilometers away. You have places where you have a lot of current. I mean, you have all of those different kind of conditions where you could be wanting to test a product very close by here in Cape Town.
And for how long have you been living in Africa, in South Africa?
I've been living in South Africa for 3 years.
Okay, so yeah,
And
you're starting to understand all the different mechanisms.
exactly. And we started the project a year and a half ago. Before that, I was working in a VC fund. So I was working as an investor in a South African VC fund, investing in South African startups. So also getting to know I got to know the ecosystem.
That's a good combination.
Exactly.
Well, listen,
Exactly.
Stephanie, thank you so much for taking some time to share all this experience with us. For all the members of our
You're very welcome.
community, if you're in Africa and if you have a nice project to pitch, go see Stephanie. I'm pretty sure that with their experience, they'll be very interested in helping you guys. And yeah, Stephanie, I hope to hear a bit more about your project soon and see
Yeah.
how the blue economy develops in Africa.
Amazing. And definitely for any entrepreneur out there, we've just started a new cohort of acceleration and we grew Pan-African because of COVID, everything went online. So that gave us the opportunity to become Pan-African. So we're more than happy to, onboard project from all over Africa. And that new cohort is quite diverse. We have a project from along the Swahili region, so the Southwest Indian Ocean, and as well as the west coast of Africa, so and Egypt and Tunisia. So very, very diverse. So don't hesitate to reach out.
That's great. Sometimes COVID can actually bring some good news. So it's
Exactly.
good to hear.
Yeah. Not only, but you need to take benefit of what you can.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much, Stephanie, and talk to you
More than
soon.
welcome. Okay, thanks. Talk to you soon.